I was hate listening, but y'all grew on me.
See? Shout out to the 682. Speaking of hate listening, let's turn our attention to hate watching.
Perfect.
And that's exactly what a lot of folks have been doing. I took a page out of my boy Blake's. Because, look, I like to think I can do a pretty good segue, but my man Blake will take literally the most, the smallest, minutest details and somehow turn it around into a segue. That said, let's talk about this Dallas Maverick team. We call that a pregnant pause in business.
How did you segue out of your segue?
It's been a day. Bro.
You were in it already. Go. Let's turn it back.
Reversed it back and then
Mavericks.
jump back in it. Yeah, that's exactly
okay.
it. That's exactly. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's this yellow sky. That sky's wild right now.
It got nasty outside.
That sky is looking crazy, and we're on the 11th floor. All right, I'll tweet out a picture of where we're at right now. So pray for us.
Someone said, for the record, Blake is awesome and funny AF. Fred, on the other hand, wouldn't even listen to Pete and Bass.
I did, bro. I did. Shout out to my boy from the 972, fan of the program. Yes, I did listen to Pete and whatever his name is, Pete and Bass.
Okay, so you obviously you watched a lot more of this. I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of personal stuff. I didn't watch a second of yesterday's game, so give them a recap of what happened yesterday.
Well, I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't watch a whole lot of it either. But that said, you had a spirited performance. Everybody, well, your starting five were in double figures. The only one that wasn't was Klay Thompson. Spencer Dinwiddie had 11 assists, lead the team in assists last night. But more importantly, let's not bury the lead. Anthony Davis made his triumphant return, second game back after missing 18 with the adductor injury. He gives you 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 25 minutes of play last night. And that's the more important part of it. He's not playing tonight. Now, the Mavericks were very forthright saying, look, he's not going to play the second half of the back-to-back, which
I would think he would play no back-to-back. So, I mean, it doesn't really make sense.
Look, no one has an issue with that, right? Like, no one's quibbling over the fact that, you're not going to see Anthony Davis tonight. Now, will you see him Thursday against the Magic? I would assume so. And then they've got, one more game?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised how quickly we were, like, looking at the schedule and we said their road trip is Nets, Knicks, Magic, and Bulls. And we were like, not going to do the first game. Honestly, we thought no road trip. We thought he wasn't going to play. Then he got upgraded to doubtful. And we're like, okay, maybe he plays. And then Mark Stein's like, he's expected to make on some point of his road trip. And then we still were like, maybe Magic or Bulls. They were like,
you and I had Magic and Bulls kind of penciled in as where we thought they would come back and play him.
They said first game. Yeah, Nets. He's playing. He's out there.
Yeah, because they upgraded him to questionable.
He went from doubtful to questionable playing all in the same game.
Well, that's right. You and I were at the gym yesterday when they upgraded him to questionable. So, and then we knew at that point, because basically if the Mavericks PR staff or whatever puts you at questionable, you're going to play or at least be available to play. And so we saw that last night. But more importantly, I mean, look, you're now back in the thick of things. All right. Not to say that you weren't already, but whatever fleeting hope you had. Now, you could argue, are we still feeling like it's fleeting just for the simple fact that you've got an Anthony Davis who, we're kind of, yes, okay, great. He played 24 minutes last night, gave you 12 and 6. But that's not what you traded him for. You traded him to give you 20 and 10, at the very least, right?
So, I mean, less about the basketball and more about the mentality of bringing AD back. We made a bet, us three, if AD would come back this season. Y'all both said no, I believe. I said he would come back this season.
We did, didn't we? Shame on us.
No, that's less the point. I'm just saying, do you think it was the right decision?
Yeah, it is.
I kind of having now a hindsight. I'm allowing hindsight 2020 with everything how it's playing out. Do you think it's a smart thing to bring back Anthony Davis this season? Obviously, he's already back. But I'm saying, are they on the right path, the smart path right now, playing him 25 minutes, ramping him up to 30, whatever it may be?
I think the more I look at it and the more I think about it, like I think in some vein you have to extricate yourself from the Luka
SAT word there,
from the Luka angst. Okay, like that's where, and I think I fell into it. I think our show has fallen into it, not in a bad way. Like, I mean, look, it's because guess what? While AD's been out, what have we had to watch?
Luka's
what's on while we're on the air? Okay, What's been on Saturday night? On Saturday night, prime time. Luka and the Lakers, right? So we've had to watch the Lakers. Now they've had a little rough go of it here in the last 10 games or whatever. I think they've lost 7 out of their last 10 or something like that. But I mean, I don't think anybody's really thinking that this team can't make a run in the Western Conference in the playoffs. And so it's easy to get caught up in the vitriol. Plus, it doesn't help when, okay, Dumont comes out and says, 2 weeks after the trade, it differs from what Nico's saying. Mark Cuban's trying to take a victory lap for, wasn't me. I'd have gotten more for it.
Are you less worried about where the Mavs draft pick is going to be now? Because that's kind of the two sides.
Somebody made a great point,
Draft
though. I mean, where were you really going to go, though?
I mean, you were at 12, and now if you keep winning, you can go as high as like 15, and you want to stay in that lottery spot and get the best chance.
That's what I'm saying. Like even if they get into the lottery, are we convinced that they're going to get some top 4 or 5 pick? I'm not.
I mean, I'm not. But what's the point of getting bounced in the first round?
Look, I think it's.
I would take the odds of us getting a decent lottery player rather than not getting a decent lottery player and losing in the first round.
I don't disagree. I mean, you're talking about probably what, the 16th spot versus the 11th spot. Because I guess what it boils down to is this: is that the top 6 teams, as it pertains to the worst teams in the NBA, are so far worse than you. Okay. So we're talking about, and now I want to say with the NBA, the way they've changed it is where the top 3 teams are, the 3 worst teams are kind of locked in, are they not, as far as what their percentage is lottery-wise?
I got this whole thing pulled up, and I still don't understand it of how the lottery works. It's all over the place. The Mavs haven't been in it in forever, so I haven't had to worry about it. Team 1 has a 14% chance of the number 1 pick. Team 2 has a 14% chance, and Team 3, they all have a 14% chance.
That's okay. Yeah, exactly right. So they changed it a few years ago to kind of try to limit teams from tanking. So the 3 worst teams
all have the same percent.
Are all going to have the same percentage. But now but you know what they've done? Now you've just encouraged 3 teams to go ahead and tank.
Team 4, 12.5%. Team 5, 10.5%, 9%, 7.5%, 6%, and then it just keeps decreasing. Team 14 is at 0.5% chance of the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
And if you look at the NBA
which is where the
order,
Mavericks would have been.
The NBA draft order at the season were to end today, the Mavs had the 12th overall pick.
Yeah. So, I mean,
right now, if the season were to end, they have a 1.5% chance of the number 1 overall pick.
And look, you guys know I love a good conspiracy theory.
They've never moved up in the lottery either, ever.
Well, and right. So when you step away from the craziness that is the post Luka Mavs, I mean, I think it's one of them things where, 6 to 1, half a dozen to another. Do you want an extra round of basketball? I mean, that's it. That's really. I mean, look, I'm not convinced they're going to make it out of the play out or play in.
They're going to get played out.
That's the question.
Right now, they're matched up with what, the Kings?
No,
they're out.
The Wolves right now.
You play the Kings. Remember, 10-9 plays each other, and then 7-8 plays each other.
Oh, that's right. I keep thinking it's 10.
I would take them beating the Kings. I don't think the Kings.
I don't disagree.
But I could see Clippers and Timberwolves. Let's just say the Clippers win that one game and they move into the playoffs, and then the Timberwolves have to lose twice.
Yeah,
I would think the Timberwolves would beat us. I think the loser of the 7-8 is beating the Mavs. Timberwolves or Clippers. I think they're beating the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I don't. Unless they just unless Anthony Davis is adductor pain free and turns into the guy that he says he wants to be. I'm still not taking him over the
Timberwolves. I think Anthony Edwards can cancel out everything AD's doing in a one game setup.
I do think with Anthony Davis you could sneak into the A spot. I do.
So it means you have to beat the Timberwolves or Clippers. So you see.
I think you can do that. I absolutely do.
I'm gonna take the under.
I absolutely do. I think this is if everything's going right for the Dallas Mavericks, and if you've got the caveat in all this is going to be Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis is going into the playoffs and is healthy, and you're not worried about a minutes restriction, and my man's putting up 30 and 10, then yeah, I think you got to punch his chance.